Hey everyone, Financial Post headline, and this is all going to be in reference to the big 0.25% rate hike put forth and presented by the central bank, the Bank of Canada, right? Polis's big decision, his big reversal, his schizophrenic reversal from what, just a couple months ago. Oh, no, we can't do it. We're going to have to keep, it's going to be a low, zero bound kind of, we're going to stay at this stimulus type model because the economy is just not growing. It's just, we're kind of seeing a little bit of signs here and there, but, it's still a little bit further off. Maybe mid to late 2018, we might be able to start. Then, it's always a reflection of, all of a sudden the ECB is changing their course. All of a sudden the U.S. Federal Reserve is changing their course. Now, as per typical of Canadians, right? Especially for these central planning types and governments and these corporations, like, oh shit, everyone else is doing something different. I better follow suit. All of a sudden, course reversal, turn it back the other way. Now the rate hike. But even the panic that you're seeing now, it's not, well, it's pretty minor in reality, but the pretense of panic is out there. It's like, what? 0.25 a percentage point? And one side of the boat, they're saying how great the economy's growing. And the reason why we're doing it is because the economy's doing great now. Just the other month it wasn't, but now it's doing so great. Well, we got to do it to try to get ahead of inflation. Right? It's like, wait. But yet, that quarter percentage, everyone seems to be panic over. How can you put forth or present any kind of narrative or dialogue that suggests the economy's doing great when even some tiny, minuscule increase in the rate was at 0.755% now, right? Not even 1% the overnight lending rate from the central bank. And they're already seeing articles, especially from a lot of the media, the leftist media, where they're, oh no. But of course, it's all shock and awe. That's what sensationalized tabloid style media, that's what it's all about now. It's clickbait, right? And whatever article will get you to at least click on enough we generated some revenue. That's all they care about. It's not a matter of being principled or being economically astute or maybe educating and informing the Canadian population properly. No. Like this model, man, it's like this current economic model, it's the central plan, it's destroying every aspect of the economy and even the psychology and social aspects of the populations of so many of these Western countries. It's crazy. Anyways, headline, David Rosenberg, the Bank of Canada is behind the curve, so get ready for more rate hikes. Now, David Rosenberg, I read the article a little bit already, and it seems like he's at least being a lot more genuine and putting forth and presenting a much more honest narrative than a lot of these central planning types or these sensationalized media outlets. The Bank of Canada not only raised its GDP forecast for this year and next, but sharply bolstered its confidence level in these projections, which I would add as a direct result of what's happening elsewhere, right? So completely reactionary. The Bank of Canada has obviously done a complete about-face on its macro viewpoint. Yeah. Back on May 24th, the central bank shifted to a hard neutral posture not long after the markets had begun to contemplate an easing in policy amidst the home capital debacle. Right? Markets usually are the leaders, right? Central planners, they're the follow-ups. They try to put forth and present the narrative that they're the ones that are leading the markets. In reality, they don't really, they have some mechanisms to distort and manipulate the markets, but they don't have control of the markets like they pretend they do, right? That neutral stance morphed into a clear tightening bias in several speeches by senior monetary officials, including Stephen Poloz himself, just a few weeks ago. This intermediate tightening stance gave the central bank the leeway to not only raise rates for the first time in roughly 7 years, a little more than a business cycle. Coincidence? I think not. But take the added steps of providing a very clear signal of more rate hikes to come. The Bank of Canada not only raised its GDP forecast for this year and next, but sharply bolstered its confidence level in these projections being achieved. Trying to keep the investors up here. It's like, hey, we got a good mousetrap up here too. Come on. I don't think you're going to win though, but hey, whatever. Although there are still some concerns they are not sufficiently problematic to keep the central bank on its prior ultra accommodative policy setting. Ultra accommodative. I love the words they use, right? Which is just pure stimulus. Just keep that needle in the air, right? Keep injecting all that stimulus, right? Mm-hmm. In fact, several prior concerns were no longer included, and instead, the press statement was replete with highly bullish commentary on the economic outlook and the broadly based nature of the current and expected macro backdrop, trying to stimulate those animal spirits. Right now they're trying to stimulate. Like I said, holy shit, they think they can manipulate. Well, you can manipulate the mindless morons in Canada, right, and the economically inept. But to think that you can manipulate the economically astute or free marketers or people that actually understand fundamentals of economics properly, it's like, hey, trying to act like you're trying to get out in front, meanwhile you're way at the back of the bus. But hey, whatever. Below target inflation is viewed as a transitory phenomenon, and most importantly, the bank now expects the closely watched output gap to close by the end of this year as opposed to the first half of 2018, as per the April Monetary Policy Report, and anticipated mid-2018 as per the MPR at the turn of the year. The bank has the luxury of having every inflation measure below target, but even so, if it is anywhere close to being in the ballpark in terms of full employment being reached by year end, the prospect of further rate hikes and further Canadian dollar appreciation is very high. In fact, an overnight rate that would ordinarily be consistent with the closing of the output gap, given a roughly 4% nominal GDP growth profile, is certainly not anywhere close to 0.5%, which is what the current rate is at, or 1% for that matter. In other words, insofar as the Bank of Canada is confident in its view, it has quite a bit more work to do. That means a flatter yield curve, relative outperformance by the Canadian bank stocks, and a firmer currency ahead. Sifting through the actual MPR, I was struck that even within the Bank of Canada's newly found optimism over domestic economic prospects was an acknowledgement of near-term oil price weakness, though the bank sees depleted investment growth in the industry leading to supply constraints later on and a rebound in crude. These people can predict the future. How many times does it have to be proven that these fucks have no real ability to predict the future? I mean, like I said, and I mean, it can be proven. I could flip a coin and show you that historically I could be more right and have a much more correct observation and prediction than these people that have all this pretense of being able to predict the future. You can't predict the future. I don't care how much information you're given. I don't care how much data you're given, because humans, right? They have free will. There's no way, and it's not just like humans all work in unanimously uniform ways that they're all going one way. There might be a large percent of the population going one way, but they might not have no real effect on the economy. Whereas just a small group, a small minority of people that have a huge and dramatic effect on the economy might be going the other way. So no one can tell which way they're going to go, for Christ's sakes, because the ones that really have the biggest effect on the economy aren't the ones that can be completely manipulated and controlled by central planner types. So, take what these people say with a grain of salt and understand that the caveats are there. It's just rhetoric, folks, and what they're doing is trying to present this kind of narrative to affect your psychology. That's really what they're doing. It's not like they know what they're doing, but they're trying to, if you say it enough, right, you might actually do what they're trying to put forth. If they lead you down that path, they're hoping that, or if they keep telling you and say, go down this, they're hoping that you will go down that path. But there's nothing that would ever suggest that you will go down that path. Historical precedent says chances are a lot of you won't go down that path. Some might, but like I said, it's not uniform, it's not unison. So don't put any faith in these central planner types. Now, I know a lot of you people, I'm not going to read the rest of this article because I know this kind of stuff can get very boring, right? Especially for people. They just want to get the quick fix and the information. And it's like, I don't want to hear all this fucking mindless bullshit. And I totally get it. It's like, right? I'm totally with you there at some stage again. But myself personally, I put up with it because I feel compelled to try to help educate and inform people, and it's for my own personal, because I'm hoping it'll benefit not just me and the outlook for me and like my offspring, but and the proper economics that should be the fundamentals of any society. But I'm hoping that just by those of us that do take that task and assume that responsibility, that you'll recognize, hey, if you guys are doing it and you're not even making, like I don't even make a profit doing it. So it should show you that there's the incentive at least is entrenched in just being a good person, keeping morality at the front and center of any like social aspects or economical aspects or political aspects of our daily lives. Like, I'm trying my best. A lot of people out there, we're trying our best. We're trying to help and educate people. A lot of it, some people are making money because they're a lot better at it than I am, I guess, right? People are willing to pony up the cash to hear from them. I'm glad those people exist. But there are people like myself that are saying the same thing, but we're doing it for free, right? So, you know. But I mean, these people they're just trying to affect your psychology. And in a way, so am I. But at least I'm telling you such, at least I'm being honest, is it really, these people are just trying to convince you, like, if someone can convince someone to go shoot someone, right? That some people have the wrong intentions, evil or immoral intentions for what they put forth to affect your psychology. But you have to recognize that there are some people, and I get it, you know, which is kind of, I guess, in a way, it's kind of very beneficial for me that I don't do this for any economic reasons. Like, I don't benefit or profit from it. Yeah, I don't want to bore you too much with this kind of when you get into this stuff. Now, of course, I'll always post a link for those of you who do, because some of you who do watch these videos love listening to this kind of stuff, right? And for those of you who do, that's why I always post a link to the articles in the description of my video below, because you might want to go and see, hey, maybe Ben is not completely correct in his assessment or his assertion of what kind of information he's being presented for. And for those of you, yeah, by all means do it. That's why I, you know, post the links below, and that's why there's comment sections, you know, because I'm a fallible human being like everyone else. I could be incorrect in some of my assumptions, no doubt. I pay attention to people that I see that are much wiser than I am, right? I look for information from a broad range of perspectives so that I can be informed and enlightened enough so that I feel confident to put forth my kind of information or my narrative that seems to be proper and aligned with moral and proper economic principles. But, you know, like I say, if there's something that you see that I'm misrepresenting in these articles, bring it up to me, let me know. Because I love hammering. I mean, that's how we educate and enlighten each other, is we hammer out these things, right? That's the best way forward. Whereas when everyone just runs to their perspective corners, especially politically, and just don't want to talk and deal with each other, and well, nothing is really benefited, nothing is gained under those conditions, are they? It's Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.